Okay?
Yeah.
So here we go. First of all, patient prone on the table. Nice firm contact with the, and we're going to start off with a general triplanar ankle joint, just rotation loosening. I put my middle finger on the head of the talus, or do I do my index? I think it's my index. I never really look anymore. Hand position is quite important. Index finger on the head of the medial head of the talus, taking the foot. Again, you want to be doing this nice sort of straight posture. You don't want to end up with shoulder problems or back problems. So again, just the couch so it's at a good work table level. Slightly more. So nice and relaxed with the foot, and then just through a full triplanar range of movement. And try not to use your wrists. Try to go from the elbows and get good movement in it. And it's pretty forceful. You want to push it outside its range of movement. And you can feel restrictions in certain areas. And I usually do about half a dozen turns. Where are we going? Depending on which way you're looking, anti-clockwise. Yeah, and then clockwise. And again, dorsiflexing and plantar flexing through the full range of movement, right down through the dorsiflex foot, right through and plantar flex that. Okay, that's the first that we start off with. Then what I'm doing is taking and I'm blocking here a base of first met cuneiform. So I'm going to just come just behind the cuneiform, out onto and then just base of first met, and again through this, and use your shoulder, put it so you can get more force in it. And again through its full triplanar range of movement to really free up that base of first metatarsal cuneiform joint. Then we're going to go through, and we're going to go through cuneiforms.
What's that?
So, Tommy.
Oh yeah, in the works.
Tommy.
Yes.
So then we're going to go through full range of cuneiforms. So again, taking the joint to extended end of range of movement. So completely plantar flex the foot, the forefoot on the rear foot. And again, you want to drive from elbow down through the foot. So taking this cuneiform and pushing through, driving through there. You okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So working from medial to lateral. So cuneiform, 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 and then cuboid. It's quite important. And then I will come down and we'll let the foot drop down, and I'm blocking across through here in the front of the head of the talus, and I'm taking the calcaneum, putting my finger on the base of the first met cuneiform joint and the navicular, and dorsiflexing the foot maximally, and then I'm pulling up with this hand and pulling up to the ceiling, and I'm pushing this hand down to the floor, and we're going to do really through that talus joint. And so I'm just pulling the talus back, and I'm moving the calcaneus forward, anterior, posterior movement of the talus, anterior movement of the calcaneus, and then change hand position again. And if you notice, once we get a flow of this treatment with the patient, each movement is through in sequence, not putting it down and starting again. It's all a flow from base of first met cuneiform, 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 cuboid into talus, then coming around this way, and again letting the foot drop. And I'm taking the whole foot, and I've got the talus here, and I'm distracting this, and I'm putting a good bit of stretch on it, and then I'm going to finish with a little flick. So again, I'll do this slowly again for you. Using my smaller fingers to dorsiflex the foot, bring it up, getting rid of that equinus, stretching out on the talus here, and distracting the calcaneum for the full length, and then just taking this and flicking. What else do I do? Then the next position. So again, from this position to here, completely evert the foot. Taking here now onto the navicular, and I'm using my third eminence, which is this hard spot here. Drop that foot pad onto the navicular, and as I invert the foot, I get the wings out, and I'm pushing the line of forces across, because your arms are here, this is going here, this is going there. We want it across this way. So again, it's about hand position, and manip it. And then I'll go through, and we'll go through, and again, smooth change over here, blocking first met, and taking the IPJ on the first metatarsal head through its full range, rotating, pushing outside where it wants to go, feeling where the restrictions are and working through that. Again, depending on where you feel restrictions, and let that drop. And now sesamoids, we just push through the sesamoids, like shelling a pea. And there's the sesamoids, and I could feel the lateral popping and now the medial popping. Okay, and then letting the hand drop down, and again line of force is down through to the floor from my shoulder rather than using my wrist. Distracting first metatarsal, or sorry, second met head, and plantar flexing the IPJ, dorsiflexing the metatarsal head itself. First, second met, third met, fourth met, fifth met. Whether there's a pop or not, completely of no consequence. Let me just check that because I haven't done this for 6 months, so hold on. This, that, this, pop, 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 that, this, pop, pop, pop. I think that's it. Oh yeah, good. Then I would check here, check back of fibula, make sure it's equal. You can go into the check hip position. And again, then I would repeat that in onto the opposite side, even if that's asymptomatic. Then I would get the patient over prone, supine, face up, and shuffle back just slightly. And first of all, what I would do is flex the knee, and then I'm taking the knee and making sure the knees here are stable over the foot. I'm taking the base of the fibula, and what I'm doing is gliding the fibula. So I'm pushing posterior on the fibula, and again pushing from the shoulder, because otherwise your hands are going to get sore and your wrists are going to get sore, and just move that like a pendulum. So if there had been restrictions, we would have freed up at the top. Actually, if you pop over, Pat. Yeah. Here, hands are flat. Yeah. So if I had found that there was a slightly unevenness of the fibula head, I would have taken the fibula head and I would have nipped it like this, or else, what way is it? There's your fibular head manipulation here where you put it like this. Now this will close down somebody's knees, so if they've got patellofemoral issues or knee osteoarthritis, this isn't the minute to do the fibular head. You block this and it, pop it. So that's what I would do if I'd found an uneven. And on your initial assessment, you would have checked the articulation at the proximal and distal to of the fibula. Turn over, Pat, for me. And so if I was release that restriction at the head, then I would take the fibular base and again pushing it back like a pendulum. And we'll talk about that in the notes. Just pushing it back, drawing it forward. Pushing it back and drawing it forward. And now, talus. It's all about the talus, as we talked before. Astrogalus, center of the universe, controls everything. Talar glide. Taking the foot and again pushing from the shoulder, thumbs on the talus, and driving down, and the pressure goes through the floor, not onto here or onto here, through into the floor. And again pushing, and then just holding that, and slowly feel the resistance going. And then I would bring this up, and you bring the talus anteriorly now. You want to glide the talus through the foot. Improve the range of dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. And hold that. And it's a slow. And as Ted used to talk about, it's like pushing a boat. Anybody's ever pushed a boat? When you first push it, you get the resistance of the water. And then you get the sort of relaxing, and then you get the movement of the glide. And I will tend to repeat that 3 or 4 times, again depending on which joints in your initial assessment you find where there is the most restrictions you've identified that you need to work on. Then I'm going to go from the talar glide into here, and the couch again is a little bit low probably, so again if you have it set up, you don't want to be working at a constant level. You don't have to adjust the couch down and go back again and do it. It's very hot in here. I would take the ankle now, and I'm taking the whole calcaneus, the foot, and I'm leaving the talus in the ankle mortise, and I'm distracting that along its long axis. Don't worry, they never come off, far too well attached, and just distract that. And you can finish that with a little flick. Pat felt, but you didn't. It was
Yeah.
quite subtle. This end of range, fully end of range motion, flick, you very fast. Then mid-tarsal joint mobilizations, taking the medial lateral columns and really working that through. Rotate it clockwise, rotate it anti-clockwise, really free up that midfoot. And again, move down to the metatarsals medial lateral column. Okay, then you can take and do a long distraction of the hallux in each individual metatarsal. The hands are a bit slippy, and I will repeat that on the other side. And then some of you may have seen the activator before, which is a neuromuscular stimulation tool, because it's all neural. Pat, flip over. So activator just gives a very short impulse, and you can adjust the how strong or how weak the force is. And again, I would put it onto certain areas, identify the head of the talus, and put it onto here, and really good firm control on there. Okay, and then you can do onto the cuboid or onto the first met. Just gives a stimulation, a neural impulse into it. So that's pretty straightforward. So we'll just do that again in sequence, without talking on what the flow will be. Again, the patient's prepped on the couch. You already know from your previous assessment where restrictions are, what you actually want to focus on. So it's nice and floppy and relaxed, and it's just through the sequence. Again, rotating far outside, you know, I want to push it past where it wants to go. End range. Dorsiflex, plantar flex, invert, evert, through the full triplanar range of movement. Shoulders only. Otherwise your hands are going to be knackered after a couple of weeks. Repetitive strain. Use the longer levers. This is the way I do it. Wings out, navicular. Cuboid. Midfoot. Wings out, line of force through. Pop. Down here, stabilizing navicular. Base of first met cuneiform. Really work that through that range of movement. It's hard to see there, but I'm being forceful. Put a bit of welly in it. And then again, midfoot, cuboid, onto forefoot, let that flop again. And again, use your shoulders, get more leverage. Stabilize the first met head, the first met shaft, and really work that IT PJ through there. And then I think I normally do met, and then sesamoid. Pushing down and through and pop and pop. And that's that. That's how quick it does. Do the other side. Take a tip here, check there. Maybe then do the activator. A couple of clicks. Turn over for me, please. Sunny side up. You want to work on the fibula. Now's the time to work on that fibular glide. Then the really important one, talus. Pushing the talus down through the floor, through the couch, through the floor. Holding that pressure. And then relaxing and bringing the talus forward by anteriorly drawing with the index fingers. And then bring it back. And I would do normally 3 or 4 glides and finish on a posterior glide and back. And if we're using a drop table, then the hand position would be here, and the contact point again is here, over the head of the talus, and then you'd want to drive from the shoulder down through and through the floor, down through, and then push and do drop table and down. And then take this and rotate it, dorsiflex it, end of range, and a quick pop, mid-tarsal joint cycling, half a dozen one way, half a dozen other. Everybody loves that. Do that with your routine patients. Love it. Free up that midfoot. Get it moving. And that's it. And then same on the other side. This whole thing takes 3-4 minutes. And your breath sweat. Okay, thank you. That's it.